Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm James, and this is Covetous Imp Gaming, and tonight we're going to answer some viewer questions about being a dungeon master, as well as do a giveaway. Before we get into that, if you're enjoying what we're doing here, please be sure to drop us a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so that you're notified when we release our future content. Drop us a comment below about any videos you'd like to see in the future, and check us out on Facebook and Patreon. Those links are down below. So before we get into the questions, I just want to dispel a few myths. The first one is about the forever dungeon master. This is this curse that some dungeon masters feel that they are subjected to, where they never get to experience being a player, and they're constantly stuck in this feeling of, I have to be the dungeon master because nobody else will be. I love being on this side of the screen. It's for me, it's the most fun place to be. And for players, I get that players enjoy their side of the table. For me, this is the most fun side of the table. The other myth I want to dispel is that it's the dungeon master versus the player. The dungeon master's job is to tell the story and set the scene. And at that point, it's time for the players to get into character and deal with the story that they're put into. All right, with that, we're going to get into our viewer questions.
Cliff R. What information is a must-have on your DM screen?
So I think that this is a very fluid answer. This is something that's always going to change. For me, it's very important to have any rules that I'm fuzzy with. For the longest time, it was concentration. It was just a rule that, for whatever reason, I was not wrapping my head around. And mainly the things that I have on there on a regular basis is DCs for skill checks, broken down by, what you might be asking someone to do. And just a list of like adjectives to describe what a monster might look like in various conditions, on their course from being perfectly healthy to being near death.
Okay. Fudge the dice rolls or let them ride?
I can say that I never fudge the dice rolls and can advocate for never fudging the dice rolls, either for or against your players. If you fudge the dice rolls to make your monster miss, you've taken away some of the excitement from an encounter. And if you fudge the dice rolls to hit your players, you've then made the encounter harder for your players, by making someone have to take an action to heal somebody as opposed to possibly doing damage. Nothing is more disheartening than having your boss basically stand there for a round and just get beat on because they missed, but these things happen sometimes, and they happen for players as well.
Sebastian G. What would you do to make long travel times more interesting?
So that question in particular, one of the things you mentioned was sea travel. I think that you could have your players spend time in the galley. And, if they spend 2 weeks in the galley of a ship, give them the chef feat. I wouldn't give anybody anything that's too game breaking, but, if they choose to use their time doing something, reward them for that. It is any time that you have long travel times, that is the perfect time to get your players into character and have these characters interact with one another. And, so have them RP, I'm doing this, or I'm going to character A is going to character B and having this conversation. Have them resolve a grudge that one of them might have with another one. The other good thing about 5th edition is it's very easy to take a long travel time and crunch it down, and adversely combat where a round is only 6 seconds. A round might take you half an hour to get through. So, I wouldn't shrink down that long term, like 2 week travel time into 5 minutes. But, you could certainly throw encounters in. Sea travel's great for pirates, Sahagin, aboliths, krakens, depending on the level of your characters, of course. Have the ship's lookout find an island that wasn't on any of their maps. And that opens up a whole new level of exploration for your characters.
Sebastian also asks, how do you deal with troublesome players?
That's tricky. Troublesome players, I can't advocate enough for session 0. It gives you the opportunity to put your rules out there and hopefully crush or quell any possibility for an issue at your table. If you have an issue in the moment, I can't advocate enough to not stop your game to deal with it if it's something that can be avoided. Take it up with them at the end of the session if it needs to be something that's one-on-one, or at the beginning of your following session. I personally like to wait until my next session because it gives you the maximum amount of time to perfectly formulate your words to have a response. There's 3 big issues with just not addressing it at all. Number 1, it's going to bother you and it's going to happen again. And it's going to put you in that situation where you don't want to show up because you don't want to deal with it. Number 2, it's going to tell that player that they're not doing anything wrong. And that behavior is going to continue. And the third thing is it's going to tell the other players at the table, because if it's something that bad and it's bothering you, there's a good chance that it's bothering them as well. It's going to tell them that that behavior is also okay for them.
Thomas Z, why do you hate paladins named Calgar?
I don't hate paladins named Calgar. Calgar was a very interesting character, and he was dropped into a new land where he knew nothing. And while he was fun to torment from time to time, his character arc was amazing. He went from being a level 1 paladin to leading an order of paladins, from nothing that was written in book. It was all something that, between me dungeon mastering and him being the player, just sculpted this character into something amazing.
Secondly, how do you design encounters for a beginning party to judge their strength and not instantly TPK a group?
So with beginners, you definitely have to be careful. I would max out encounters at a balanced encounter. Nothing hard, nothing deadly. A couple goblins. Definitely use Kobold Fight Club or another encounter calculator, and really just allow for that CR math to really take effect. Not anything that's top of the line for that CR, but if you have 4 players, obviously nothing higher than a CR1 to start with, until they get their feet wet, and definitely do a crawl, walk, run before you start throwing really hard and heavy battles at them.
Steve P. and Jessica D. both asked very similar questions. Steve asked, how often do you just make things up as you go versus going with what you intended? And Jessica D. asks, do you plan for every eventuality or wing it when players don't do what you expected?
So first, I would have to say that I do not like to railroad players into going to a specific event. That being said, I do like to lay out multiple breadcrumbs and let them choose where they're going to go. Once they get there, obviously I can't plan for every eventuality, but as players progress through something, Sometimes a change has to be made. Rarely does it not go exactly the way that I kind of perceived it to be at the beginning, though. All right, so we're going to get into the giveaway. We are going to be spinning the Wheel of Doom to first give away a set of metal dice. All right, here we go. All right, congratulations, Cliff. All right, the next thing we're going to give away is a set of Xanathar's spell cards. Congratulations, Steve. All right, the next thing we're giving away is a velvet folding dice tray. Congratulations, Sebastian. The next thing we're giving away is a t-shirt from our friends at the Raven's Nest. Congratulations, Jessica. So that's it for the giveaway. I just want to give a big shout out to Eric at the Raven's Nest for helping us and putting together our new logo. It looks great. I'm so excited to have a logo and to be able to share it with everybody out there in internet land. For those of you that are wanting to DM someday, it's not a life sentence. It's not something where you have to memorize every single rule. You need to have an understanding of the rules. You need to have a pinch of improv and a sprinkle of confidence, and you will be able to bring an amazing game to a table of players for them to literally turn your world into a dumpster fire. And they'll love it, and you'll love it, and it will be amazing for all of you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Congratulations to those of you who won. I'll message each of you. I'll let you know when you guys can do your pickups. And I will see you guys next week. I'm going to cover Old Bone Grinder for Curse of Strahd. Hope you guys had a good time. Thanks. Later, guys.